everybody for joining us. My name is Mcdermott. I'm the Director of Communications for the Colorado Department of Higher Education. This is our 6th Town Hall conversation. We're excited to have you all join us. We've been kind of, we started these in person and, now we've adapted to these Zoom calls. And so we've had kind of varying participation over the last couple months, but we're excited to have you all join us. And I'm going to turn it over to Angie, our Dr. Angie Paccione, our fearless leader. She's got these down now.
I hope so. So thanks, everyone. My name is Angie Paccione. I'm the Executive Director of the Department of Higher Education. And we started these town hall or community conversations on higher education a while back when we could do it in person. Unfortunately, we had to make this adjustment, and now we're doing everything using Zoom or some kind of a video conferencing software. So the purpose of this really is to have a conversation around higher education and for students and their families to be able to answer questions that they may have, to address perhaps some obstacles that they may approach in terms of what to do after high school. It's critical, of course, that everyone completes high school, but then what? And so as we think about what are the many different paths after high school, that's what this conversation was really meant to be about. This is our sixth town hall or conversation. We've been in Aurora, we've been in Fort Morgan, Fountain, Fort Carson, Boulder, and the South Central Colorado. And this one is for the Southeast Colorado, primarily Central and Southeast. And we want to really highlight all of the resources that are available in these parts of the state and in these different school districts to let you know what's out there for resources. So we are thrilled to have the folks on the call that we have with us today. And truly, I want to thank you. We just were talking before this about the cadence of work that has been just amped up in this post, or not even post-COVID, during this COVID crisis. And so that you guys could take some time to be on this call. I really want to thank you for me and from the department as well. And speaking of the department, we do have some staff from the department that's on the call who will be able to answer some questions as well. So I work very closely with the governor, as does the Commissioner of K-12 Education, who's on the call, Dr. Katy Anthes, and we work with the governor, and the governor is passionate about education. That was how his first entree, if you will, into public service was as a member of the State Board of Education. So he's passionate about these very things, and since we get to work with him so closely, we also communicate his passion and vision for you. So I'm going to stop there because I'll come back on and we'll talk about some other things as well. But I want to give Dr. Anthes an opportunity to just say a few things about this transition, especially from completing high school and then the handoff, if you will, to post-secondary. So Dr. Anthes, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Paccione. When Dr. Paccione started this, I've been Commissioner of Education for about 4 years. And when Dr. Paccione started, I said, you and I are going to become best friends because we think it's really, really important to be hand in glove with our friends at the Department of Higher Education and all of the higher education opportunities across the state of Colorado. Because our goal really in the K through 12 system is to make sure you are prepared and ready to go on to any pathway that leads to a successful and supportive life for you and your families. And so Dr. Paccione and I talk all the time about what those strategies are, and we often say, how can we blur the lines between high school and higher education? So we do all sorts of things together to blur those lines, like trying to support our school districts in offering concurrent enrollment. So that you can consider getting credit in high school so that when you do move on to a post-secondary education, you have a few credits under your belt, and are more prepared and also may have to pay a little less tuition because you have some of your credits under your belt. So that's one thing we do. We really encourage you to take AP courses and other really rigorous courses to prepare you for higher education. But one of the other things we're exploring more now in Colorado is work-based learning opportunities and apprenticeships and internships and all sorts of different ways to gain knowledge and experience so that you're ready for the next step in your life. And so Dr. Paccione and I work on those things all the time. Our teams work on those things. We've established some additional grant programs and additional opportunities for our K through 12 school districts. So we call those pathways in K through 12. So, you know, definitely checking in with your local school district to figure out what pathways they have to offer you that would smooth the transition between high school and post-secondary education. Because what we do know is getting a post-secondary education, no matter what that looks like, 2-year, 4-year certificates, it will definitely increase your career potential and your earning potential over a lifetime. So it's really important, and Dr. Paccione and I have a joint goal that we report to the governor on to increase the number of students with a post-secondary degree. And so we are really working hard on that together. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to some of our wonderful post-secondary education institutions. So I believe I'll turn this over to Dr. Lujan.
Thanks, Katie. And thank you for the opportunity to talk with students and families, Dr. Paccione. The Colorado Department of Higher Ed has been a great supporter and resource, and I really appreciate all that you and your team do for students, families, and colleges. Thank you. I'm Dr. Linda Lujan. I'm the very proud president of Lamar Community College, but I'm also a first-generation college student myself from a blue-collar family. So like many of you, I wasn't sure how I and my family could afford college, but don't let that stop you. Set your goals high and work with us to figure out the finances. We have a number of scholarships, all colleges do, including the Colorado Opportunities Scholarship Initiative, or COSI. And that's in partnership with the Colorado Department of Higher Ed. Many of you are also going to qualify for federal financial aid, but you have to make sure you complete your FAFSA. Don't let money be your barrier. Dream big, talk with us, we'll figure it out. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about my favorite college, Lamar Community College. We've been serving students and families in Southeast Colorado since 1937. We are the smallest of the Colorado community colleges. We serve about 1,000 students per year. And we love our small size, our personalized one-on-one attention. We are a college where everyone knows you and supports you. LCC is also a residential campus with athletics. So if you want an experience away from home as a residential student, we can offer that. If you're an athlete, you might make one of our teams. We are the proud Lamar Runnin' Lopes. And if we didn't have other colleges with us today, I'd make everybody say go Lopes. But what I really want to say is go to college. We also have local students who live at home and attend LCC, and many of our students are here to complete the first 2 years of their baccalaureate before transferring to a 4-year college or university like CSU-Pueblo. And with the brand new Colorado Community College systems bridge to bachelor's program, it's even easier and a lot more affordable. It's a new guaranteed admission program with a number of universities, including CSU-Pueblo. First-time students and even continuing students can sign an agreement for guaranteed admission and a more affordable, seamless pathway to their baccalaureate. Lots of scholarships involved with that too. So if you are on a baccalaureate pathway, check into that. Both LCC and OJC students who participate will get personalized student advising and guidance so that you stay on the right pathway and save a lot of money on the way to your dreams. In addition to transfer options, we also have students who attend LCC for one of our great career and tech programs, certificate or degree, in areas like agriculture, precision ag, accounting, business and marketing, information technology, nursing and allied health, early childhood education, renewable energy, construction trades, welding, cosmetology and barbering, equine science, and our very unique signature horse training and management program. You have a lot of options at a community college, and we have a lot of them for you. Like all rural colleges, we do quite a bit of concurrent enrollment, and I know many of you took good advantage of that opportunity. And I'm telling you, don't waste those college credits. Sit down with an advisor and talk about how you can use those credits to continue on your post-secondary pathway. If you want to get a hold of us, you can reach us at our website, lamarcc.edu, or you can call our main number, 719-336-2248, or you can send us an email at information@lamarcc.edu. And I want to close by saying we are open for business. Even though we are in pandemic mode, we are making plans for our phased return for August classes with the goal of keeping you safe as you learn. We are also focused on ensuring that we have an inclusive and welcoming campus for all students from all walks of life. We do not tolerate hate or bias or racism, and we are looking forward to some really interesting conversations with all of you in the fall. We're open for fall registration, and if you happen to be hyper organized and ready to register this coming week, we'll enter you in a drawing for one of 4 $500 early registration scholarships. So don't miss that opportunity if you're ready. Some of you we know need a little more time to think about your pathway. We also have new site locations in Eads, Grenada, and Springfield. So if you live closer to one of those locations, you might want to check it out. We are open, we're ready to serve you, and I would love to see you all at Lamar Community College. But I know choosing your post-secondary pathway is a big decision, and I want you to choose the right pathway for you. So if it's not LCC, that's fine. Make sure you choose a pathway and don't stop. The world needs you now more than ever. And the best way for you to prepare for that future is with a post-secondary certificate or degree. So thank you, good luck, and go Lopes.
Thank you, Dr. Lujan. And I want to give the Rattlers a chance. Gotta get, fair play here. And so,
Yep.
So I did notice that while we do have Dr. Lockhart on the agenda, I did notice that Dr. Alvarez was on the call. So who would like to go first?
Well, I'll just say hello because I had a meeting that got canceled, so I was able to join. But I'll let Dr. Lockhart, because she's prepared and she's really talented, and so I'll let her go. But just wanted to make sure that I welcomed everybody and let people know that we're pretty special down in Southeast, and people should not overlook us because I consider us to be kind of an oasis on the plains. And people find that we have our campuses look like small liberal arts institutions, and I think people should not underestimate the kind of rigor and the kind of quality that they can get from our institutions. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Dr. Alvarez is the 5th president at Otero. So thanks for the work that you're doing down there as well. So Dr. Lockhart, give us some remarks from Otero.
I am the Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs at Otero Junior College, and I should know by now after numerous meetings not to follow Dr. Lujan. But I would say we love it here at the land of the Rattlers. We are, again, one of those small community colleges that Colorado has to offer. But one of the things we love is that we are a Hispanic serving institution, and we can provide the services for multiple students, as can all of our institutions. One of the things that we allow us to do is look at our ways that we serve our students each and every day. And as my colleagues have said, it's important to choose a post-secondary education. Unlike some, I am not a first-generation college student, but I do know what it means to stand on the backs of those who came before. So I understand the important purpose and how I got to be here and why it's important that someone came before me so that I could come behind. And that's very important when you're looking at what's going to be the best path for you. So it may not be one of these institutions, but let me share some of the things that we can look at. So many things that we're able to do and look at, as Dr. Lujan already looked at, don't let funds be your issue. There are tons of scholarships and opportunities for financial aid. Make sure you fill out your FAFSA. At Otero Junior College right now, if you have a 3.0 GPA, our scholarship doors are still open to you because we have scholarship opportunities. If you are interested in ag science, we have a scholarship opportunity for you right now. If you're interested in cosmetology, as you know, we have multiple career and technical education opportunities. Again, that's a great option. If you're interested in concurrent and dual enrollment and you're a high school student and you'd like to get a jump on education, please look at us and for the next year, because what we want you to do is get a taste in that feel of what it's like to be in a post-secondary education so that you can get a jump start, one, and save and then move ahead. And if you're at the end and you've just graduated, OJC is going to give you a $500 scholarship so that you can start with an extra advantage to get you moving. And so we're very happy to have all of our students ready. And much like other rural community colleges, we are a residential campus. We have athletics, and we are able to offer many athletic programs. We are also available to offer disability services as well as trio services, multiple advising processes, and our wonderful Learning Commons staff. We have a separate set of staff just for advising and academic support. And regardless of the situation, we all know that we have been in a pandemic, but we, again, like many other colleges, our doors are open. We have available multiple opportunities for classes to serve all of our students. Our president has been very clear that we look at a set of guiding principles of how we want to meet the needs of our students. And initially, we want to make sure, first, we do no harm. We make sure that the health and well-being of our students and faculty, it comes first. And with the guidance of Dr. Paccione, we've made sure that we followed our CDHE guidelines to make sure our plans satisfy the health and accrediting bodies. We want to make sure we look at the diversity and inclusion of all of our students. We're making divides it so that we can look at our most vulnerable and make sure they don't feel left behind. Our data informed. We want to make sure that we are keeping data, getting feedback, answering questions, communicating at all times, and using metrics and this data to be practice-oriented to make sure our students get their needs met. And then we want to use innovation. We're not letting the pandemic stop us. Our recovery plan should look at alternative ways, and we're making sure that if any opening comes up for an alternate way to help students, we're going to do that in the best way that's safe, and it's according to guidelines and meeting all of our students' needs. So when you're thinking about where you're going to be in the fall, look at multiple areas. Now, we do have some specialty programs, We do have a many like the Bridge to Bachelors, which is a wonderful thing from our system, but very unique at Otero Junior College. If you want to be a teacher, we have a wonderful partnership. That's the teacher preparation program, that a partnership with UC Denver that allows us to connect the student with a guaranteed opportunity to become a teacher. And this year, not only do we have elementary and early childhood options, we have secondary math, science, and some special education options coming. So we're allowing students to, again, fill in that gap, which all of you know, we're at a discrepancy with our teachers. We definitely have a high need. And coming from the K-12 myself, I'm so glad to see that we'll have teachers ready for our future students. But we also have a very robust nursing program. And we've been blessed to have such a high pass rate. We at this point have the 97 pass rate, and we're excited about that and increasing our numbers every day. And we have multiple other health programs that will allow a student to, again, to begin that journey into the health education. More times like today, show us how important it is to choose that field and know that you'll come out of college into the workplace, not necessarily looking for a job, but sometimes with a job before you come out the door. And that's very important in our job placement right now in our workforce. It's very important to be workforce ready. We do have, as our president said, liberal arts degrees that allow you to choose any degree if you choose to move into a four-year college area when you leave our community colleges. But we appreciate the opportunity for you to come to us, learn from us, and make us brighter, make us better, and help us work with you.
Wow, I want to stand up and cheer. That was great. I'm glad we have that on tape, because you hit on some great points that we want to make sure that students and their families are aware of. And you know, we have a shortage right now in terms of nursing and teaching. And so those are two areas that you highlighted, and that's great. You know, when you think about a young person, and some of us can remember, we're not that old, we can remember perhaps when we were, you know, thinking about what's next after high school. And I was fortunate enough to become a college athlete. So for me, that helped to guide my decision. It was who's got the best program and where can I go for college. I didn't know that I was going to become a teacher later, but I did pursue a liberal arts degree, and I did play both college and professional basketball. But when the professional basketball was over and I had to think about what am I going to do for work, I went back to school to get my teaching license, and I was also a high school teacher as well. And so sometimes trying to decide what your career path is, you know, you're only 17 or 18, it could be difficult. So the advice I always try to give to young people is, you know, pursue your passion. Make sure it's aligned with what you believe your purpose is in life, what you do really well, aligned with your skill set and the things that you want to learn. So the skill set that you want to develop. So I think of passion and purpose and skill set, but I think what Dr. Lockhart also pointed out is what's the market asking for? So if you really want to have a job, you know, there are some shortages in the market, and those are things that, if that also is aligned with your passion and purpose and skills, you can pursue that and enter the workplace with some additional training. So you don't have to know exactly what it is right now, but pursue what you're passionate about, and you will end up where you're supposed to be. The idea is to make sure that you pick a path and complete that path, and then build your capabilities. Now, one of the things that we hear often is, and both schools mentioned, not to let the financing of education get in the way of your education. So I do want to, I'm going to say a few things about some of the topics on here, including how do you finance college. I was just on a call just before this one where I was reminded that my nieces and nephews went out of state and into some very great schools that we could never afford, but they did it through a program called QuestBridge. For some of you, if you are relatively low income, but you're really bright, QuestBridge gives essentially full ride scholarships to some of the top colleges in the country. In Colorado, we do have one college that is a participant in QuestBridge, that's Colorado College. And so if you're thinking even beyond Colorado, you might want to look at QuestBridge. You have to apply in your junior year. So those of you who might be juniors, take a look. It's questbridge.org. It's another resource. But first and foremost, as Dr. Lujan said, you have to complete the Fafsa, which is the free application for federal student aid, because the FAFSA is used by everybody to determine what amount of scholarship you would be eligible for. In Colorado, we have institutional aid, we have state financial aid, we have federal financial aid, and then there are special, I'll say special organizations, special interests, affinity groups that give out smaller scholarships, but all of the money that you can get will help you pay for your college. So I want to turn it over to one of the folks who works in the Department of Higher Education. Freddie is on the line, and Freddie is actually from Southeast Colorado. Isn't that right, Freddie?
Yes, ma'am.
So
yes.
these are your people. Yes, Megan.
We forgot CSU-Pueblo.
And who's on the line for us?
Chrissy Holliday.
Oh, sorry, Chrissy. Hi, Chrissy. Sorry, it wasn't on my list here. Before we go to FAFSA and Freddie, Chrissy, please.
All right. Don't forget the Thunderwolves. I mean, we've had Rattlers. We have to have Thunderwolves, right?
Thank you. My apologies.
No worries. No worries. I am really happy to be here with all of my colleagues. I'm in K-12 and then post-secondary higher ed here as well. Just a few things, not because a lot of it has already been said, and I don't want to take up time for no reason, but just a few things that I think are important for folks to know about CSU-Pueblo and kind of the role that we play in higher ed, particularly in southeastern Colorado, is first of all that we're committed to putting bachelor's, master's, and even some doctoral programs, because now we have our Doctor of Nursing practice degree, within reach for students from this area. And I know a lot of times when folks talk about four-year schools, higher ed, after community college, a lot of times they talk about the ivory tower. And that's really not who we are at CSU-Pueblo. We are very practical. We're very committed to our communities and to the students and families in those communities. And I think that's reflected, you know, as a regional comprehensive institution, we have a lot of degree programs. There are pretty much anything you can think of that you want to do, you can do at CSU-Pueblo. But the things we're really known for are those, I would say, very practical, pragmatic things that students from our area tend to really focus on. That's business. There are a lot of them want to be entrepreneurs, continue or expand the family business, learn to do things a little differently there. Nursing, as I mentioned, education, media communications, all of those things are kind of hallmarks of what we tend to offer at CSU-Pueblo. And so I think that's really important for people to know. In addition to those soft skills, the critical thinking, and all that you learn, there's also a very practical piece of everything at CSU-Pueblo. And one of the reasons that I came here, as you can tell, people tell me they can tell from my accent, I'm not from Colorado. And one of the reasons I came here and I'm committed to Pueblo and to CSU-Pueblo is the fact that we're committed to diversity as well. I know that was mentioned earlier, but that's a hallmark of who we are. We are proud to be an HSI. We're proud to be an institution that is largely first generation, largely minority. That is who we are, and that is important to us. And it's a place when you walk onto the campus, and I felt this from the first moment I was there, it's home. It's home for a lot of students. Like the others mentioned, we have some students who commute. We have some students who live on campus in residence halls. And we're blessed to be able to have a mix of that and to be able to offer opportunities that meet the needs of students in our areas. I think it's important for folks to know too, we've all talked a little bit about the adjustment that we've all had to make with the pandemic and the realities we've been facing. I've been really amazed and proud of the work that's happened at CSU-Pueblo with that. I think we have reached out, and we've always been known for personal contact. That's something we do and we do really well. You receive a really personalized experience with us. We've stepped that up even more during this, and we've even identified gaps we didn't know existed for our students and have plugged those. And those are lessons that we're going to carry forward into how we approach everything moving forward. Also, I'll say, you know, it was mentioned, we're happy to be one of the newest members coming to the Bridges to Bachelors program. While that program is new, we've always been a really strong partner with the community colleges in our region, including LCC and OJC. We actually have been blessed to have a transfer ambassador at OJC, Kim Grimsley, that works to help students transfer to CSU-Pueblo if that's what they want to do, and we want to see that replicated at Lamar as well. That's something we're working to do. So whether students want to go to a four-year institution right out of high school or whether an alternate path is best for them, we're interested in being there for whichever step is the right step for them to take for that. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to say a few words about CSU-Pueblo. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, and sorry for that oversight, but the Thunderwolves, go Thunderwolves. I've been on the campus, and so great things that are happening there. One of the things at the Bridge to Bachelor's program is so fantastic because sometimes, you know, you might go to the community college and earn that associate's degree, but you're not sure what's next, and you're not sure if all the work that you did at the community college will transfer to the four-year institution. So this gives everyone a real direct line of sight to the bachelor's degree, and you can earn credits and confidence and maybe laser in on what your career path wants to be while you're earning that associate's degree. So it's a great program. We are highly supportive of it, and so we're excited about the collaboration between the community colleges and the four-year institutions. All right, now, how are you going to pay for it? We have ways for you to pay for your institution, your choice. And I do want to turn it over to Freddie to talk a little bit about Fafsa. We will have some opportunity for Q&A for those of you who are on the call. And you can put your questions in the chat box as well so that we can answer those as soon as we're done. So Freddie, tell us about Fafsa and how do you complete this form?
All right, but I have to give a shout out first. My first experience was Lamar Community College. I grew up in the little town of Springfield, just south of Lamar. Woohoo! And my first basketball experience was at OJC. And then my alma mater is CSU-Pueblo. So I am a true product of Southeast Colorado, which is truly home for me. And I was excited for all the town halls, but this one really means a lot to me. So I really appreciate everyone being a part of this. And for those of you folks listening, anything we can do here at the department to help you, let's talk about financial aid. It is a free application for financial aid, so don't get overwhelmed with it. It does ask some questions that you might be like, hey, what are they asking for? But we're here to help. My Color Journey is a great resource to help you with that. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Like was mentioned earlier, for scholarship, you're gonna have to fill out the FAFSA. For any type of state aid, you have to fill out the FAFSA, and then for any even loans. But let's stay away from loans if we can. Let's do some free money, scholarships and grants. Let's see what we're eligible for, and the only way you're gonna know how to do that and see what you qualify for is with the FAFSA. Every college has, in Southeast Colorado, Lamar, OJC, and CSU-Pueblo, they all have their own financial aid resources, so they can help you. I used to work in financial aid at CSU-Pueblo. That's how I got my start in higher ed. And so we're all there to help, even those folks down there. Again, someone like myself coming from little Colorado, rural Colorado, you know, not knowing the first thing, my parents said, we love you, we support you, but you're on your own. I had to get help. So please look us up and see how we can help you. Anyone from those offices can help you do the FAFSA application. And you can also reach out to me. I am more than happy to do anything I can to help you all complete the FAFSA. We got to get those applications filled out right now.
Yes, and Freddie, is there a deadline for filling out the FAFSA? What is that?
Well, you know, the application comes available. There's not a real big deadline. You want to do it every year before you start school. So for next fall, if you can start now, that's better. It comes available every October 1st. And then the schools will start giving you information on what you need, if you need anything else, or they'll tell you what you're eligible for. So yeah, you want to do it now for next fall and spring semesters.
That's great. And one of the things that the interplay of policy and legislation with what your career path might be. In the past, if you were undocumented, you were not eligible to get in-state tuition. Years ago, that was passed. And so now you are eligible for in-state tuition. And then of course, okay, great, I'm eligible for in-state, but how am I going to pay for it? Well, I think it was in the last legislative session that we made it available. State financial aid is available for our asset students, the students who are undocumented but who are in the process. And so there is still, it wouldn't be the FAFSA that you complete, but there is another form the institutions have that you would be able to complete so that you would be eligible for state financial aid. So once again, please do not let finances be the obstacle for you. We can find a way around it. We will work to find a way around that. So fill out the FAFSA because it's used for so many other things. If you are not eligible to complete the FAFSA, then talk to your institution of choice and they have a form that you'll be able to fill out. Anyone want to speak to that? Anyone else want to speak to that? Looking.
Yeah, hi, this is Kim Post. I'm the Chief Student Success and Academic Affairs Officer, but students who qualify for asset funding also now qualify for the Colorado Opportunity Scholarship Initiative dollars. So that's something that was put into legislation last year.
Yes. So there are resources. The point is there are resources available, and that's why we're having this conversation, is to make sure that you know where to look to get these resources. And one of the places to look, of course, is immediately at your high school. Your high school counselors will have information. And then when you make the choice about post-secondary, then the academic advisors in those locations will have information. And you can always come either to CDE with Dr. Anthes or to the Department of Higher Ed, and our staff will be able to help you. So we want you to know, yes, thank you, Chrissy. Yes, in Colorado, we leave money on the table, almost $50 million a year that we are eligible for, our students, you are eligible for, that we don't receive because we don't apply. So please apply so that you get what's essentially rightfully yours. It's the federal government is making an investment in you, in your post-secondary success. So let's let them by filling out that form. One of the other things, and Dr. Anthes mentioned this earlier around concurrent enrollment, that when you are taking courses in college, but you're in high school, that also is a way to save money on your post-secondary choice. So you are able to earn those college credits while you're in high school. So please, please take advantage of those opportunities that you have in your high school to take courses at the community college and at CSU-Pueblo. And so I want to say why even pursue it? What is the return on this investment? College does cost. We have ways to help mitigate some of that cost, but is it even worth it to get a degree, to get those credentials? On the call, we have Michael Vante, who works for the Department of Higher Education. And Michael, can you talk about the return on investment and where students can get some information about that?
Absolutely. Well, yes, Michael Vante, Senior Director of Research and Data Governance at the Department of Higher Ed. Very glad to be with you all to share all the great information that we have, both at CDHE and CDE and with our institutional partners. So as Dr. Paccione says, one of the things that we've really leaned into at the Department of Higher Ed is the why around higher education, and being able to make the case of why, if you go and you complete, you see great returns and being able to actualize those higher earnings compared to those who don't. So one of the things I'm going to put in the chat really quick are a couple links to some of the resources that we have. So last year was the first year that we at CDHE completed our return on investment report. So looking at all the different public and a few of the private institutions of higher ed and the programs at those institutions, and looking at the various return on investments that people can see. The first link that you'll see there is an interactive tool where we show all of the different institutions and all the different programs, and you can see the median 1, 5, and 10-year earnings outcomes for people who have completed those degrees. Again, completed those degrees. Also within the report itself, we have a lot of great information around the time that it takes someone to get a degree, depending on the institution type, and also the amount of credits that it takes to get a lot of these credentials. So being able to really have this as good information to help you make the most informed decision that you can. We just want to make sure that everyone has that information. We have a wealth of it at the state. And so working with our agency partners and our institutional partners to make sure that we're equipping you as best we can to make the best decision that fits your needs and meets your needs. And as Freddie had mentioned, you know, My Colorado Journey is a great place and tool that showcases a lot of this work, both the return on investment information, also a lot of the essential life services. I think that's a barrier that individuals can experience in terms of completing their credential and staying in school. So doing all that we can at CDHE to address those social determinants of student success, or the human needs that a student has, whether that's food insecurity, housing insecurity, whatever it might be, just being able to lean into that work more. And again, meeting students where they are and helping them get across the finish line.
Yes, thank you, Michael. That's it's so important. And one of the things that we have learned is that if you want to make money fast, a 1-year certificate will get you into the workplace with some credentials, and you'll be able to earn some money. If you want to do a little bit more, and if you want to earn more money over time, then get that associate's degree, because your earning potential is going to increase over time. And certainly a bachelor's degree and higher will have even greater earning potential. So all post-secondary education will return that investment. And the longer you are employed, of course, the greater return for the higher degree. So navigate your path. Our message is pick your path. You know, and it doesn't, even if you want to pursue a career in the military, great, pursue that path. You can learn and get credentials and get competencies, certainly in any military service. So do that. Perhaps some of you might want to do a year of service, like a gap year. Now, in the past, I'm a big fan of the gap year, especially when it's like humanitarian service that you might want to do in that gap year. But this year, I'm a little more cautious about it because of the pandemic. Where are you going to go, and what's the risk that you might take? Now, we still have volunteers and service that you could do in like city year, or you can take some time and do a gap year, but there's just an additional risk this time because of this pandemic. So you can pick a path. The thing is that right now, staying home and doing nothing is really not a good option. And I'm sure your parents would agree with me. No, we don't want anyone to complete college and then sit home and do nothing. You have to continue to build those, your skill set, build your competencies, and get that education, or go into some kind of service, military service, humanitarian service, weigh the risks and the benefits, but get started, get moving. And as Dr. Post reminds me here, you can get college credit for military experience. So this will continue to build your capabilities. We have, let me see, I think we almost have everything covered that we wanted to cover. Kim, is there anything else that we missed that you would like to add?
I think the only thing that I would add is that the governor is getting ready to sign a new bill that will allow institutions of higher education to use measures other than the standardized national assessment for admission for the class of 2021 only. And so we're gathering information from our colleges and universities right now to see which of those will opt into multiple measures of assessment. And by multiple measures, I mean things like your GPA, course rigor, other assessments that you take, etc. This doesn't apply to the community colleges because you don't need a standardized assessment for the community colleges, but you do currently in law for the four-year institutions, but this will be applicable for the class of 2021. So more on that later.
Yeah, thank you for that, because that's a big deal for many students who either didn't take it because it was canceled, or maybe their score didn't maybe prepare them. But the institutions are being very flexible with some of these things, and the governor has helped to create that flexibility. So pursue your passion and then work with the institutions for your admittance. And Michael, I just want to thank you for your contribution. And also, when we think about My Colorado Journey, that's what we wanted to create, is that space and that platform for you to explore, to say what it will be My Colorado Journey. So please make sure, I know that Michael has put it in the chat, the link to My Colorado Journey. Make sure you check on that link, get your account signed up, And then it's a lifelong account. So this is not just for high school or just for college. This is even for adults in the workforce. And so your journey can take many turns. Trust me, mine did too. And so we want to be able to support you through all of the twists and turns and to make sure you complete. So with that, do we have?
Tony?
Yes, please.
One more point. We know you seniors had a rough end to your academic journey. We know you feel the loss of prom, commencement, all those rites of passage. I would encourage you, though, to not wait for college. We are hearing some students are saying, I'm just going to wait till everything's back to normal. Waiting only puts you a little bit further behind your peers. So think about alternatives. Think about, could I do some community college classes? Could I commute to CSU-Pueblo? How do I keep going until things are quote unquote back to normal? And I tell students all the time in the middle of this pandemic, the best talent you can have is adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to adapt to whatever circumstance. That makes you a good worker, a good employee, it makes you a good human, and it makes you much more talented and valuable in the employment market.
Mm-hmm.
So don't just sit home and wait. Do something.
Absolutely. Just really want to echo that and reinforce that. And by the way, you are learning some skills that are truly lifelong skills. So even those of you who might be sophomores in high school or juniors and you've had to adjust to remote learning, well, guess what? We're doing all remote, all the workforce is doing remote too. So you will be more proficient in video conferencing as you finish your high school and into college and then into the workforce. So everyone has had to become proficient at video conferencing. And so you're getting it early. So that's one of the other benefits. But yes, definitely want to say it's not the time to sit home and do nothing. It is the time to start to move forward in your post-secondary education, even if you move slowly by taking 1 or 2 courses or only online or whatever you choose, great. I will say on behalf of the department and on the state, we are both K-12 and higher ed. We are taking all of the precautions necessary to make sure that our educational settings are safe. And so the institutions are doing yeoman's efforts to make sure that we have the proper protocols to make sure that it is as safe as we can humanly make it for you. So yes, the doors are open. We will be returning to campus in the fall and face-to-face instruction. There might be some hybrid, so there might be some that continues to be online, but check with your institution and with your academic advisors. We are here for you. To that end, those folks who are on the call, what questions do you have for any of us or for all of us? What questions do you have? You can unmute yourself if you like and ask a question. And while we're waiting for a question, I was just reminded we have on the call one of our directors of industry partnerships, Beverly Jones, who reminded me that CSU-Pueblo, of all of our institutions, especially our 4-year institutions, has the most degrees with a work-based learning component. And so that's one of our goals at the department, is to encourage all degree programs in the entire state to have a work-based component. So when we think about liberal arts, you want to major in philosophy, how can we include a work-based component to that? And so, so thank you, CSU-Pueblo, for that being a priority for you. Of course, our community colleges, I think it's about 65% of all of your programming is CTE or has that work-based component. So we talked about it being very practical, and that's what we want to have. Jenna Davis is on the line. Jenna, would you like to say a few words while we wait for questions? Jenna, you can unmute yourself and tell us your position.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name is Jenna Davis. I'm the Director of Admissions at Lamar Community College, and I was just on here to kind of observe. We do have a $200 campus visit scholarship to anyone that's trying to maybe get their feet wet and just check out campus. Right now, we've done virtual tours. We're phasing in the tours back to campus on that basis, but I always like to tell students that aren't ready to commit, just do a visit, just come see and talk to us. And it's we're not pushy. It's what are your goals? How can we help you reach your goals? And we'll start there. So I definitely want to push the campus visit to Lamar and all of our colleges. I think that's a great step. That's not, hey, go to college, register for college. Sometimes it's just check college out. And so I want to throw that out there. But thank you for everyone's time today.
From college, what additional higher ed opportunities have you heard about? What additional, aside from going to college, whether it's community or four-year, what are some other post-secondary options that students might have? Who wants to take that question?
I'll take
Well,
that
I
one.
can do a little bit. Oh, okay.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so let's go,
Go ahead.
Katie. Let's go, Katie, and then Calandra. Is that how you say it, Calandra?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great. Well, some of the things that we like to think about in high school are apprenticeships. And so that's a post-secondary option where you work with a company or some sort of a work-based learning opportunity. And in some cases, those are paid apprenticeships. And in some cases, they might be more like internships. But CareerWise Colorado talks a lot about that and has some opportunities there. Of course, the military is another good post-secondary education opportunity, and they have many courses and many skill development opportunities for you at the military. So that's another one. And then, of course, you know, you have your 2-year colleges that are here and your 4-year. So there's lots of different smaller, I sometimes call them micro credentials, where you could maybe go for a small amount of time for a year and get a credential to help you launch into a certain career path. So those are some additional ones besides just the traditional, you know, 4-year liberal arts college.
Great. Thanks, Katie.
So I would say those are some of those that I was going to mention. I had the opportunity to have an internship in between, and it was connected to a National Science Foundation grant, which gave me a great opportunity to know what I was going to be interested in college. But another thing that's connected to the military for civilians is the Department of Defense. So the Department of Defense sometimes has different programs that will allow for workforce and then provide training that is transcriptable. Once you complete the work, and allows it to be transcripted on a college transcript if you choose to go to college later. So just something to think about. If you're interested, there's other opportunities. Some companies also have many things, kind of like our Bridge to Bachelors, that would allow you to work for them in a short period of time, right out of size of high school, depending on the corporation. The corporation sometimes then will pay for your tuition. So it depends on who you're working for. You go in and you put your best foot forward and put up your shine and be professional. And sometimes that can get your foot into the door, not just for a job, but also for education.
Thank you for that. That's so true. And I know sometimes I maybe skipped over some other opportunities, but and then in Southeast Colorado, I mean, you have a different economy. So there are ranches that some folks can be a ranch hand, or I mean, there are other kinds of ways to get into the workforce, and then either simultaneously or afterward, then come to college and get the additional upskilling for your career. So we don't want to discount any path. That's the purpose of these conversations. Every path has value, and especially if you complete the path. If you get to the highest level of the earning possibilities and earning potential of that path, and you complete it, then you can look to do the next thing that you want to do, and including reskilling or upskilling for the path that you've chosen. So We see value in every path that you choose. Fantastic. Anything else? Are there any other questions or comments? Because we don't have to stay till 5, but we do want to make sure that we answer any questions that might come in from either participants, or if there are other things that we may have missed for this conversation on higher education.
One thing that I'll add
Great. Thanks,
from the 4-year institutional perspective, and one thing we're working hard to do is to redesign our curriculum so that it supports that really practical. I'm a little surprised, but not totally surprised by what you said with us having a lot of that work-based learning component in our curriculum. We're working right now to actually do more of that so that every student has a work-based learning experience at every step of the process. What you tend to see with a lot of what I'll call the more traditional internship experiences is they come so late in a career or in a college career that if it's not exactly what you thought it would be, you have gotten so far into it that maybe it's hard to turn back and to do something different. So we're actually looking at and beginning to build in, how do you have experiences your freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year that give you experience in a particular area to make sure that it's really going to be a good fit. And if it's not, you haven't lost a lot of time. It gives you something to scaffold on for the next few years going forward. So we're actually launching that now. We are working with community corporate partners, various businesses throughout the region who want to bring students into their companies to work in the and a lot of them are paid opportunities. So.
Yes, that's great. And so that's the kind of resource that exists at the institution that you can have those conversations to say, hey, you know what? I'd really like to pursue more of a work-based component. What's available? And so having these kinds of public-private partnerships, we're trying to expand those throughout the entire state. So that's great. Thanks for that, Chrissy. Last question. Oh, wait, Dr. Lujan. Yeah.
So I'm going to frame this kind of as a question, and I'm going to answer it, but I want to hear from the rest of you. If I fill out my FAFSA, I'm going to get a lot of money. I get money for college, and I get offered all these great student loans. And there's this college down the street that's going to charge me $50,000 a year and promise that I'm going to get finished and have a guaranteed job, but I'm going to have to take out every single loan to do that. What's my smart choice?
Freddie, you want to take a first jump at that?
Yeah, that's a great scenario, Dr. Lujan. And, we see that a lot where, we're going to get offered this exorbitant amount of money in the form of loans, in addition to some good free money as well that I might be eligible for. But like you said earlier, we have to think about what we're doing. We have to think about our opportunity and really consider what are the costs of traveling far or traveling close and having to pay that money and utilize those loans, or taking a closer look at, what is the cheaper option or what is the best option for my family. It's not just about what's cheap, what's the best option for my family today and tomorrow, and really think about what we're putting ourselves into. So I love that question because it really makes us think as a potential student, what is financial aid and what is it really used for? That's a great scenario. I love that.
And I think the statistics say that 80% of students take the maximum that they are given. It's not necessarily what they need, but if they're offered in terms of student loans, I think it's 80% will take the maximum amount that they qualify for, they're eligible for. And so we have to do a better job of counseling the students around that. You don't have, just because it's offered doesn't mean you have to accept all of that loan. Hey, last question here. When thinking about life after high school, do you think there are certain challenges facing young people of color? Why or why not? And if yes, what kinds of challenges? So I know that in our southeastern region, we have HSIs, we've got a lot of diversity. What do you think? Maybe we'd like to start with that one. What are some of the challenges facing students of color?
I would say college will be a challenge depending on what you make it. And I would say depending on, as these different opportunities, we talk about them. Sometimes students are looking for a certain experience. and they think that they may need to leave outside of the state because they're looking for a historical Black college or something like that. I went to an HBCU and realized I didn't need it. So many times you may realize what you need within the time period you're in. We do have a number of HSIs and diverse colleges around that you can go to that will give you that. But the thing you have to keep in mind is just because you're a student of color, don't expect a challenge. Automatically think to yourself that I am not limited. I can ground myself in what I need to do, and the sky is the limit and no one can stop me. So look for all those opportunities, get involved in everything around you, and turn every challenge into an opportunity and something to conquer, and turn it into a positive note, and make sure that you're in the right places at the right times. And that way, it will be some challenge along the way. There will be some things to conquer. But I like to tell students of color all the time, don't look like the dark side. Look at all of the bright side, and multiple opportunities available to you.
Amen. Thank you for that. Dr. Alvarez, and then
I'd like to piggyback off that.
Please.
And thank you for the opportunity. And one of the things that I see, Angie, and I think the research tells us this too, is that I'm a first-generation student of color, came from a low-income family. We undermatch careers and we undermatch our potential for the future. So I always say part of our job is to get students to dream and future cast, to think about a future. Because if you'd have told me when I was 18, you'd have a PhD and you'd be a president of a university, I'd say, nope, that's only for smart people. So we have to help students dream and understand that there are potential, but it really means that us as professionals and our advisors need to plant those seeds with students and try to challenge them. And the research tells us too that the first job you get after college matters a lot. So we have to make sure that they don't undermatch that career and just take the first thing they get, because it'll haunt them year after year and they'll never catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. And as those of us who have paved the way, those of us, I was also first generation student of color. And so those of us who have done that, who have paved the way, we've got to always make sure that we reach back and bring the others along, those who are in our footsteps, so to speak. And we stand on shoulders, and then we make sure our shoulders are strong enough that others can stand on ours. And so, Freddie, you were going to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to share to the folks listening from Southern Colorado who are looking to possibly seek a higher education credential. Again, no matter what it is, coming from there, coming from home, and being afraid of what that world is outside of Baca County or outside of Springfield. Don't be afraid to push yourself. Don't be afraid to get involved. I think Dr. Lockhart indicated earlier, get involved. That's what saved me as a college student. When I was at CSU-Pueblo, I was a big fish in a small sea in Springfield, but then I went to CSU-Pueblo, and it was a whole new world. That was a big world for me. It was a big city. And so I had to get involved, and I had to get really familiar with the campus, and the only way I could do that was get involved and pushing myself into those uncomfortable places of getting to know other people. As a first generation Hispanic male, I had to push myself to be in rooms with other people and really understand what is their way of thinking, really understand the world they came from. And that's what brought me to where I'm at today. And I loved it. And I do not regret pushing myself back then. And that's how I learned. So to anyone listening out there, please put yourself out there into those situations where you're going to force yourself to meet other people and understand and appreciate where they come from, because someone's doing it for you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Freddie. And just some final comments as we close up. You know, like we said, pick a path that that's aligned with your passion, your purpose, your skill set, the things that you are interested in and you want to learn, and move in that direction. You will end up where you're supposed to be if you continue to move in that direction. It's when you stop moving that the grass grows. And by the way, when students stop out of that path, the chances of them coming back to the path are very slim, unfortunately. We have over 600,000 Coloradans who have some college but no degree because for whatever reason, they stopped out. And so that's the message is pick a path, pursue your path, complete your path, and know that there are resources all around you that are waiting and willing to help you succeed, both at the K-12 at your high school and at the institution of your choice. So reach out and ask for the support, ask for the help, and we will be able to guide you in that direction. Get on My Colorado Journey so that you can navigate that to find out what are the resources that are available. How can I make these choices? What support do I have? It's there, and we want you to know that. We are all committed to your success, and that's why we do the work that we do. We want to see you succeed. It helps you, and it helps us. It helps the entire state. Heck, it helps the entire world when we all succeed. So we're in this together. We believe in you. Pick your path, get the support you need, and let's all ensure your success. So that's how we want these conversations to be. And so we're going to post this on social media in your communities. Make sure you share the link and that you share it for those who are exploring what do they want to do after high school. Thanks to our guests. Thanks for being on here. Thanks for your wisdom and your support. And we look forward to the next community conversation on higher education. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.